Today, we're taking a look at a whole new class of AI tools, and really, we're evaluating them to see if they live up to the promise of making businesses way more efficient. We're going to analyze how a new type of AI agent can completely change how you build a business, starting with the one thing you can't get wrong, your brand.
Okay, this probably sounds super familiar to a lot of you founders and business leaders out there. You've got the vision, you've got the product idea, you've got the business plan, but you're not a designer. For the longest time, that was a huge roadblock. But well, that whole way of thinking is now being seriously challenged.
And this slide really puts the scale of this disruption into perspective. Look at this. This isn't just some small, tiny improvement. This is a total collapse of a workflow that used to take weeks and cost a ton of money. Now it's squeezed into less than 20 minutes for the price of a subscription. This isn't just evolution, folks. It's a full-on revolution in how creative work gets done. So here's our game plan. First, we'll lay out the problem. Then we'll introduce the AI agent and run a case study, building a brand from scratch right before your eyes. After that, we'll check out the entire creative suite it generates, what this means for the software we all use, and finally, we'll talk about the huge capability gap this is creating in the business world.
Let's be real. A professional brand isn't a luxury, it's absolutely essential. It's your first impression. But getting it right has always been a major bottleneck. It takes time, it costs money, and it requires a set of skills that most founders just don't have.
So what's the solution? Enter Claude Design. Now, it's so important to understand that this isn't just another app. It's an AI design agent. It's powered by Anthropic's latest model, Opus 4.7, which means it has visual reasoning. It can actually see and understand visual concepts, and then create original work based on what it understands.
Okay, theory is great, but let's see this thing in action. We're now going to walk through the exact step-by-step process of creating a full brand identity for a startup we just made up. We're calling it Vajra Pro, and it's a health tech watch designed for the Indian market. So the process starts with a really clever strategic move. Instead of just starting with a blank canvas, we're going to pick two brands we admire: Apple Watch for that premium feel, and Ultrahuman for its focus on wellness. Then we use a simple scraping tool to literally pull out their core design DNA. You know, the colors, the fonts, the language they use. We take all that raw design data, feed it into Claude, and tell it to synthesize a totally new and unique brand identity from it. And this is where you can see the AI's reasoning kick in. It doesn't just copy and paste, it merges the two. The output is amazing. It's a complete brand Bible with a philosophy, specific color codes, typography, and even a tone of voice, all perfectly tailored for our target market. So once we have that brand Bible, we move to the next step, making it real. We just copy and paste that new identity into the Claude Design system creator. And then the AI does what would normally take a human designer a month, but it does it in about 15 minutes. It builds out a complete production-ready design system, colors, fonts, buttons, all the rules for how they interact. And now for the part that is just truly mind-blowing. Once that design system is approved and published, it instantly becomes the foundation for an entire suite of business and marketing materials, and they're generated almost instantly. First up, a pitch deck. What's so wild is that the AI doesn't just design blindly. It acts like a human consultant. It actually asks for a creative brief. Who's the audience? What's the price point? Then it writes the copy, it designs the slides, and it even adds animations, making sure every single detail is perfectly on brand. Next, a landing page. And the most important thing to know here is that this is not a template. It is a completely custom-designed web page, built from the ground up using our unique Vajra Pro brand guidelines. Every single part of it is coherent and built just for us. But this might be the most stunning output of all, a launch video. And just to be clear, we never gave the AI a picture of the product. The AI took the abstract brand language, words like premium and sleek, and it imagined what the product should look like. And then it created an animated film to launch it. That's a huge leap from just doing what you're told to actual digital creation. Okay, so let's zoom out and really analyze the big picture here. This isn't just about making slides look prettier. This is about completely re-architecting the software stack that we all use for knowledge work. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, has been very clear about their target. They are going after the most tedious, low-value corporate tasks, basically the stuff embodied by tools like PowerPoint. Their goal is to get back billions of hours of human brain power that are currently wasted on formatting so professionals can focus on high-level strategy. So where does a tool like this actually fit into the world? Is it a Figma killer? Well, not really. This table makes it super clear.
Claude Design isn't competing with Figma, which is for professional designers who need total control. Nope, Claude is creating a brand new layer for the non-designer, the founder, the consultant, the marketer, who starts with a business idea and just needs a professional result right now. This timeline really illustrates the huge shifts we've seen. First, you had to be a pro using Adobe. Then Canva came along and made design accessible to basically anyone who could use a template. And now AI agents are making design automated, straight from your intent. You don't design anymore, you direct. All right, let's bring all this home and talk about the bottom line. The fact that tools like this even exist creates a new and frankly urgent strategic decision for every single one of us and for every single business. But there's one final, really practical thing to keep in mind. These tools are incredibly powerful, but they're also very resource intensive. As you can see here, just generating 2 of these brand packages ate up over 3/4 of a monthly Pro Plan's credits. That tells you that you need to use these tools strategically and with intent, not just for playing around. And this all leads us to the final and most critical question. The advantages that these AI agents offer aren't small, they're exponential. The gap in what people can do, the gap between those who use these workflows and those who don't, is about to get very, very wide. So the strategic question isn't if your company should adopt these tools anymore, it's how quickly you can.